You panic because you're triggered by something internal. You think that you're actually trading volatility in the charts, market volatility, but that's actually not the case. You're trading something deeper. You're trading abandonment issues, internal issues. This video is not surface level. It's not meant for TikTok brain traders, right? This video is for the serious trader that wants to level up and is brave enough to do the inner work, to do the shadow work. They understand there's internal stuff that needs to be fixed. And that's what this video is for, and that's who it's for. Basically, if you are trading and you feel panic, you're being triggered from this internal worthiness, right? You feel unworthy of your trades. So every time you put on a trade, you have this sick feeling, this anxiety spike when you press buy or sell, right? You already feel anxiety brewing up, and that's your body reacting to an automatic response of an event that hasn't even happened yet, right? And it's just priming you to panic in your trades, right? And that is basically because you have this feeling of you're wired to be unworthy, okay? So unworthy of success, okay? And I see this a lot with hundreds of students that I've worked with, right? They know what to do. They know what to do. They know how to trade. They understand their strategy. And then they get into a little bit of profit on their trades and then they collapse. They fold, right? They give up. They close their trades early and then they self-sabotage, okay? And they can't get beyond this level, okay? And this is the thing that's holding them back. So this panic is the thing that is just keeping you from leveling up. Okay, so in this video, we're going to go through what the cause of this panic is and how you can overcome it and level up into a calm, collected, and confident trader and basically become untouchable by the markets. You're completely unfazed by what happens. And that's the place you need to be at if you want to become a consistently profitable long-term trader. Okay, so if that's you, make sure you watch this to the end. And before we get started, go ahead, like and subscribe and drop your comments below because this is going to help boost the algorithm and get this message out to more traders like you. Okay, so let's get started. So basically, the panic is it's a the cause of it is from childhood trauma of being abandoned, okay, or rejecting success, right? Somehow through your childhood programming, you were programmed to see success as difficult, right? As something hard to do, okay? Something unnatural because maybe you saw your parents struggling or you looked around and you saw everybody struggling. So you automatically link success to struggle, right? And rejection. So you're rejecting this ability to level up, right? And so when you put on a trade, it hinders your ability to see the trade through because you are replaying this rejection of success, rejection of profits. That's why you cannot hold your trades, right? That's why you close early and you don't know why. You know what to do, right? But yet you can't do it because of this, you know, abandonment issue, rejecting success. And it's also to do with your internal thermostat, right? So you're not used to making lots of money. Okay, so maybe let's just say, to keep it simple, you're used to making $1,000 a month. Okay, that's your baseline level, right? So now you go buy a $200,000 FTMO challenge, prop firm challenge, right? And you put on a trade and all of a sudden you're up $3,000, right? Your internal state is not used to that kind of money, right? You're panicking now because it's success. It goes against everything that you were wired for, right? You're not used to it, right? So you feel unsafe, right? And you subconsciously close it. You close out because closing the trade feels better, right? You cannot handle the heat, right? You don't know how to handle the pressure of money. You think there's something more to it, but in fact, it's nothing. It's just numbers, right? It's just ones and zeros. Do you understand? There is no need to fear large sums of money, right? And until you can remove this childhood block, right? Your subconscious mind will always block big amounts of money coming into you, no matter how hard you want it, right? So if you consciously want to make big money, right, in trading, right, you can consciously want it. You can put that intention. You can have that intention, but your intention will be override by the subconscious block that is working, which is like 100 times stronger. It's working against that intention. So that intention of wanting to win trades and make money means nothing when the subconscious program is overriding that, and that's why it blocks you, right? And then when you lose the money, it hurts so much, right? And then you start to tilt, you start to revenge trade, and then you just blow up from there, right? So you know that this is a problem because every time you put on a trade, you have this internal gut feeling. You feel sick to your core, to your gut. Like your palms are already sweating. Your forehead is already getting sweaty, right? And the trade hasn't even moved. All you done was enter the trade, right? Even if you entered the trade and it was a good trade, like the right setup, right? It's your A plus setup. So you entered the trade, but you already feel sick in your stomach, right? I know you understand this feeling, and I know that you've felt it because I've felt it and I've had to deal with it too. I've had to face my demons, right? And it really comes down to doing the shadow work, the internal work, right? It's not an issue of your setup. It's not anything to do with the market. It's you, right? You're the one feeling this sick feeling in your stomach, right? You're the one sweating, right? The market doesn't know, doesn't care. It doesn't know that you put on a trade. It doesn't care, right? Your broker, nobody knows except for you, and yet you're the only one that feels like throwing up because you can't handle it because you already panicking. You already know that you're going to mess this up. You're going to close early or you're going to take a loss and then you're going to revenge trade. You're going to do something that you cannot control, right? It's a negative automatic response, right? And this is the thing that's holding you back, right? So basically you are trying to go forward. Every time you try to grow, every time you try to move forward on your journey, you take one step forward, but then you take two steps back, and then you self-sabotage, and then you even worse, you change your strategy. You do all these things that are just not logical. They don't make sense to a normal functioning sane person that is thinking straight, right? Even though your intentions are good, but you're doing these things wrong, right? And you just don't know why, and you keep repeating the same mistakes. It's a negative pattern that you're repeating, right? And so basically your body, your nervous system is rejecting success, right? It's like puking out success. Is just like not having it. You cannot accept it, right? Because of your financial thermostat, the way you're wired, right? To a certain amount of income, right? You think that making lots of money requires you to work hard, right? Where trading, like, so you think spending lots of hours looking at charts is working hard, putting on lots of trade is working hard, where that's not the case. That's that's wrong, right? Like trading is actually less is more. So you want less trades, right? But more quality trades, right? And then so it goes against the conventional 9 to 5 mindset of like work hard, hustle, grind, blah, 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 produce, 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 create, 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 and then it doesn't work like that with trading, right? Like, let's imagine this, right? Like, if you could take one trade and it made you $10 million, and that was the only trade you ever had to take, right? Like maybe you bought Bitcoin early or something like that, right? But you only, throughout your whole life, you only took one trade and it retired you forever. That's the ideal scenario, right? That's less trade. That's one trade fixed it all, right? So that's the reality of it in trading, right? You need less trades, but more quality, right? And so when you have this contradicting reality with your contradicting belief system of, you have to do more to get more, right? That's why, people end up scalping and doing all these crazy high risk maneuvers and trading strategies. And then, scalpers never last. They don't last, right? It's not a long term strategy, right? But it's a symptom. Scalping is basically a symptom of like not being able to, control yourself internally, right? It's a symptom of some internal uh, negative wiring. Okay, but I won't get into scalping. It's not what this video is about. But basically, you panic, you reject success. Okay, and so you have to rewire yourself basically, and you have to overcome this. Okay, because like no matter how much discipline you try to inject, like you can go running 2 kilometers every day, you could eat the right foods, you can go to the gym, you could do all this discipline work, which is good, right? You have to do it anyways, right? Um, but then when the time comes, your willpower and your discipline doesn't work because your nervous system, your subconscious takes over. It overrides the amount of discipline and willpower that the intention that you had just doesn't stick, right? You'll be swimming upstream. It always feels difficult, right? It's always some internal war in your mind, right? You're always going to feel like it doesn't work, right? You constantly come back to this fight or flight response, which is an automatic response to success. Your body, your subconscious is rejecting it. So what you have to do is you have to go in and do the shadow work. You have to do the internal work, right? You have to do the rewiring of your subconscious programming, right? It really makes a difference having the right program running. Okay, it's like, you if you're running the wrong computer operating system, nothing's going to work. Like, you're outdated. It's old stuff. It's based on the past, right? You need to update your programming to today, to the present, to right now, and get the right programs installed in here, right? Mentally. And then, slowly and surely, the way you approach the markets will change. You won't panic, right? You become solid. You'll become unshakable, right? You'll become calm and collected, right? You don't hesitate, right? You are okay to hold trades. Then you can become a swing trader. Then you're okay to hold trades for a couple of days. They don't bother you. Do you understand? There's a big shift, and there's a lot of benefits to being a swing trader because you have more time to think, right? You're taking less trades. Remember I said less trades are more quality, less trades, less quantity, higher quality. That's what swing trading really is, right? It gives you time to think and you're getting into a better trade. Most people don't do it, including me. In the past, I used to be against swing trading. I used to think it was like a waste of time because I just couldn't hold trades. I could not hold a trade, right? It would just, to me, it was like painful to hold a trade for a few days because I'd be like this internal battle, this forever doubt, self-sabotaging, like racking my brains around. Like that's why people can't swing trades. And then the ones that are successful at swing trading, are the ones that have done the internal work. These are the professional. These are the top guys that you see on all the podcasts and all the market wizards and all these guys. These are the big dogs. They're all swing trading because they've all done the internal work. So they're able to hold trades. They don't panic, basically, right? If you keep panicking, you can never be a swing trader. You're always going to be a day trader or a scalper, right? And those two are not, they're just not long-term solutions, right? Like for instance, like day trading, you might have a 3 trade rule per day. That's already too much, right? You're giving yourself more opportunities to mess up and try to fix. If you say, oh, if you allow yourself 3 trades in a day, right, that means you're giving yourself more opportunity to fix your ego, to try and mend your ego, because because you have this ego. That's why you say, oh, I'll have 3 trades then, because you want to give it 3 chances to fix your ego, which is bullshit, right? You have to be able to just stick to like minimal, at the least amount of trades, and take quality trades and not panic and not rush into trades. And the beautiful thing about swing trading is that you have time to plan your trades, you have time to get into your trades, right, without rushing, right, without feeling nervous and whatever. And then when your trades uh, go against you, like if you lose a trade, then you also have time to reflect, right? You have a day to like cool off and go think about why that trade didn't work out. That's the beautiful thing about trading, swing trading, right? But if you're scalping, you're like in and out every second or every minute. You're in and out. There's too much going on. There's 10 trades on the line. Or you're day trading. You don't want to journal. You're too busy. You're trying to catch the next trade. Do you understand what I'm saying? You got too much going on. You don't have time to think. You don't have time to reflect. You don't have the patience to hold anything. And it's always going to be difficult. You're always going to have this battle, right? And I get it, because like I've been there. I've done the scalping. I've done the day trading. I've done all that bullshit, right? And until I was able to fix my internal programming and control the panic, like basically not panic at all, right? Yes, it can happen. You can actually come from a state of like zen. It's for real, right? You can trade peacefully. Trading doesn't have to be difficult. It can be calm. It can be painless, right? And it's possible. And very few people will understand what I'm talking about right now, right? Like to you think like it's not like even possible, because you've never shifted. You're still stuck in the old reality. You're stuck with your old identity, right? Your old identity is pain and struggle and trauma and abandonment, and you don't feel like you're worth holding on to profits. You're not worthy of it, right? You have to let that go. And that's all like past emotional residue. You have to kill it, right? And you can only do that by doing the inner work. So that's really why you panic. There's nothing else. So if you want to work on yourself, if you are interested in doing the shadow work and doing the inner work, then check out the first link in the description. Inner Edge Pro, that's what we do. We go in and we fix your subconscious programming, your trading identity, and we put new beliefs into you, and we get rid of the old negative blocks that are holding you back, so that you can actually overcome this, clear this part of your trading, and then just let your edge play out, right, without getting in the way, basically. So thank you for watching. If you made it this far, if you're new to the channel, go ahead, like and subscribe, and drop a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care now. Bye.